Have you ever thought about how a name could be more than just a label? I mean, what if a name could represent an entire level of reality? Today, we're going to dive into this really profound, mystical idea about the different names for God and what they reveal about the nature of the infinite itself. Our whole journey today kicks off with this one kind of cryptic verse from Exodus. Here, God is speaking to Moses, and he's explaining that the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they knew God by one name, El Shaddai, but they didn't know him by this other, more essential name, Havaya. So right away, that just throws up a huge question, right? If they're both names for the exact same divine being, why is one considered a lesser revelation? What was this deeper truth that was hidden from the patriarchs? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to unpack together. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to climb this sort of ladder of revelation. We'll start with the riddle itself, then explore two totally different meanings of the name El Shaddai, then ascend to this higher name, Havaya. And finally, we'll see how it all comes together in a really beautiful way. Okay, so let's start with the riddle. This verse, it's not just some historical statement. It's actually presenting a deep theological puzzle about these different layers of divine knowledge and experience. Here's the thing that's so puzzling. All of God's names are considered true. So why does this verse seem to imply that Havaya is somehow truer, or maybe more authentic? That's the core problem we really need to get to the bottom of. To really get the difference, we have to start at the most basic, foundational level of our reality. This is the first and simplest way to understand the name El Shaddai, and it has everything to do with the actual creation of the physical universe. The etymology here is just fascinating. The sages tell us that the name Shaddai actually comes from a Hebrew phrase, Shamarti le'olami dai, which means, I who said to my world, enough. The idea is that as the universe was expanding out infinitely during creation, God stepped in and said, die, enough. And that's what set its physical limits. So this name, in this first sense, represents the divine power that sets up all the laws of nature. It's the force behind gravity, behind physics, the predictable, ordered reality we all live in. It's kind of like God is the grand architect of the system, the one who establishes all the rules. But you see, the patriarchs, they experienced something deeper. They perceived a second, much more profound meaning hidden within that very same name, El Shaddai. It turns out you can read the name Shaddai in two completely different ways. The first way focuses on the word die as a limit placed on the world. But the second way sees die as a quality of the divine, meaning sufficient. As in, sufficient is my godliness for every single creature. It's a total shift in perspective. At this level, El Shaddai isn't just the one who sets the limits, he's the ultimate provider. This power can perform miracles, for sure, but these miracles are always clothed in nature. Think of an unexpected check arriving in the mail just when you need it, or a seemingly impossible coincidence that saves the day. It's the divine hand guiding events from inside the system, making it all look like really, really good luck. And that brings us to the highest level of revelation that's mentioned in our verse. This is the dimension represented by the name Havaya, a power that doesn't just work within the rules, but operates completely outside of them. The name Havaya, you might have heard it called the Tetragrammaton. It signifies the essential, transcendent aspect of God that is completely above creation. It existed before the world was even a thing, and it is not confined by the world's laws in any way, shape, or form. This table really makes the distinction crystal clear. A miracle from El Shaddai, well, it works through natural means. You could almost explain it away as a wild coincidence. But a miracle from Havaya? That's an open, undeniable suspension of nature's laws, like the splitting of the Red Sea. There is just no way you can mistake that for a coincidence. And this brings us right back to our core puzzle. Look, the patriarchs absolutely experienced miracles. Their needs were always taken care of. So why is that revelation considered incomplete? What is it that makes the reality of Havaya, the breaker of rules, a higher truth than El Shaddai, the master of those very rules? To answer this, we need to get a little bit philosophical. The source text actually brings up this incredible medieval debate about how the infinite can even interact with our finite world. So, check this out. Maimonides argued that the divine presence is like your intellect flowing through your hand to write something. The hand is just a tool, right? The intellect isn't really in the hand. But then Nachmanides came along and disagreed.
He said it's more like intellect residing in the brain. The presence isn't just passing through, it's fully invested within the physical thing itself.
Now, Chasidic thought comes down on the side of Nachmanides, and this leads to a mind-bending insight. The greatest expression of limitless power isn't smashing limitations from the outside. No, the ultimate expression of power is being able to fully inhabit and be present within limitation itself, without being diminished by it one bit. Okay, so let's bring all these different levels together. The final revelation here isn't about choosing one name over the other. It's about seeing how they all fit into one single, unified picture. So let's just quickly retrace our steps up this ladder. We started with El Shaddai as the force of limitation at creation. Then we moved to the patriarchs, who saw that same name as a source of provision within nature. Then, at the giving of the Torah, the transcendent power of Havayah was revealed. But the ultimate goal, the end game, is a future synthesis of all of it. And here it is, the final synthesis. That awesome power that transcends nature, Havayah, was never meant to stay separate and apart. The entire purpose of the limits set by El Shaddai was to create a vessel, a stage, where the truly limitless could be revealed, not by shattering our world, but by being fully present inside it. You know, a verse from the prophet Isaiah just captures this final vision perfectly. It doesn't say only some people will see it, it says all flesh. Our physical, limited reality will see and experience this unified revelation together, the infinite dwelling comfortably within the finite. So I want to leave you with this thought. We usually see limits as constraints, right? As the opposite of freedom. But what if we have it completely backward? What if the entire purpose of a limited physical world was to provide the ultimate stage for revealing a power so truly infinite, it can be found even within the limits themselves?